Let's now look ahead to this weekend's pay-per-view UFC 278, Usman versus Edwards 2, going down at the Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City, Utah. UFC 278. Did I say that all right? Vivint?
No, you did. Real quick, before we get into UFC 278, I just want to point out that there is also BKFC going down this weekend as well. So if you do watch bare knuckle fighting, Michael Venom Page
that's this weekend?
Michael Venom Page and Mike
shit.
Perry,
Right.
Mike Platinum Perry are fighting this weekend. Paige Van Zandt was also supposed to be fighting against somebody, and she got pulled from the event. They're saying that she pulled out. She's been all over the internet going, "I don't pull out. Tag your friends who also don't pull out." So I don't know exactly what's happening there. What I do know is Michael Venom Page, Mike Perry will absolutely be fighting. Definitely check that out. It is at 2 p.m. The main card starts because it is happening in London. So time yourselves accordingly.
In one sentence, give me your prediction / pick of MVP versus Platinum Mike Perry. Omar, do it. One sentence. One phrase. What is it? What's the pick?
This is not kickboxing. This is bare knuckle boxing. I would be surprised how effective Michael Page can be in there against somebody who is literally a street fighter. So in the cage, I would pick Michael Venom Page against Mike Perry any day of the week. With just bare knuckles, I'm inclined to go to Perry for some crazy ass reason.
While I get that, it's an 8-inch reach advantage, which feels like a lot.
Yeah. But how would Michael Venom Page normally... How would he normally deal with that range? He would kick people in the face.
Yeah.
Can't kick people now.
Yeah.
Perry will walk through his punches.
I still can't believe this is happening.
Me either.
Yeah,
dude.
Me too.
I should mention.
Bellator was like, yeah, super marketable guy. Just go ahead and get punched in the face with bare knuckles and maybe lose, which lowers your value, and maybe also get your face destroyed so you can't fight for a while. Sounds good.
Yeah, there's also two Muay Thai legends.
One phrase.
There's two Muay Thai legends that have signed to BKFC as well. Bukau and Sanchai. Whenever those guys get fights in the BKFC, I will make sure to let you guys know because Bukau?
Isn't it Buaka or that guy? That guy you're talking about? Like the super legend guy?
Yeah.
Bukau.
Both of those guys are basically the same age and they look completely different. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, Bukau and Sanchai are both legends in the Muay Thai world. They're fighting for BKFC for some reason. I don't know when, but we will definitely let you know. But just wanted to make sure you guys have
give us the pick.
Yeah, I said MVP. It's hard for me to pick against the reach.
I'm gonna go MVP
as much as I get it.
2. My bad.
What would you say? Oh, you wanted like a true pick. Fuck. Yeah, how many rounds is BKFC? I don't watch BKFC.
I don't know. Let's say is it more like
I think
boxing?
It's 3 rounds.
6-8 rounds?
No. I'll say it's a knockout.
I'll say round 3. It's 5 2-minute rounds.
5 2-minute rounds. Oh damn. I'm gonna go MVP knockout. What did I say? Round 2? Let's stick with it. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about MMA. This is not and new bare knuckle show. This is and new MMA show. Okay, 278. Before we hop into a handful of what we would consider the biggest fights of this pay-per-view, any other fights or fighters that you guys want to highlight for our viewers and listeners?
I'll throw out a couple real quick. Francisco Figueiredo is on this card. He's always interesting to watch just on his come up. Obviously, his big brother is former flyweight champion Davidson Figueiredo, or current flyweight champion. Current flyweight champion Davidson Figueiredo. Moreno fans may feel differently about that statement, which is why I may have slipped up there. You know what I'm saying? But indeed, the current flyweight champion. Also, AJ Fletcher and Anglosa are fighting together on this card. That's actually going to be a really decent fight. I'm pretty high on AJ Fletcher. I'm expecting good things from him going forward. And then last one I'll throw out there real quick is the Sean Woodson versus Luis Saldana fight. Two guys who I don't have very much star power, but the reality is they fight with a lot of aggression, and I'm pretty excited to see how that fight goes down.
Mark, any other names you want to throw out there?
Yeah, Woodson has looked solid. I like that fight too. It's weird. It's a pay-per-view card, and there's like 4 high-level fights. It's kind of a random thrown together card. There's some solid names, but there's like a lot of mismatches, like Tyson Pedro. We love Tyson Pedro. He's fighting Harry Hunsucker, who's a guy who was 0-2 at heavyweight. Now he's coming down to light heavyweight. I mean, Tyson Pedro is like 8-1. He's minus 800. You have Miranda Maverick for some reason fighting Shayna Young, who hasn't even looked good and who she's already beat in her career. Maverick is like minus 550. So not the greatest matchmaking in the world. I do like the Jared Gordon versus Leo Santos fight. A couple years ago, I would have picked Santos pretty quickly because I've never been a Jared Gordon guy. But Leo Santos looks like age might have finally caught up. He has not looked good in the last few fights, but you never know. We'll see how that one goes. I like that fight, and I think it is. Oh no, Gordon's a pretty big favorite, almost 3-1. Yeah, there's not a lot of tight fights on the early part of this card. But yeah, that's it for me. We can hop up.
Okay, that being said, let's hop in the featured bout of the prelims on ESPN and ESPN Plus. In the heavyweight division, we have Marcin Tybura taking on Alexandr King Kong Romanov.
They took this off the main card?
According to my sources, this is the final bout on the prelims.
Wow, it was on the main card yesterday. Gee, this is getting so now you're paying for a pay-per-view to watch 3 fucking relevant fights? Who makes these decisions?
That's correct. There is Kamaru, Costa, Aldo, Wu Yanan, and Tyson Pedro for the main card.
I'm sorry. They took it off the pay-per-view so they could put on Lucy Pudilova versus Wu Yanan. That's the one it got swapped with.
That's correct.
Like, what is happening here?
Maybe it has something to do with their ESPN contract?
Who fucking knows?
Yeah,
Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Mark is
so
2
Tybura.
words away from tweeting Sean Shelby some real shit. Like,
oh man.
Okay.
I mean, it's Usman and Edwards. We couldn't get some fights on the card that matter. Christ.
Okay, we have Tybura, 36-year-old Pole, 6'3", 22-7, 9 knockouts and 6 submissions. Pretty decent finish rate. Of course, coming off of the decision loss against Alexander Volkov back in October of last year. Volkov snapped a 5-fight win streak for Tybura. Okay, taking on Romanov, King Kong, Alexander Romanov from Moldova. He's coming in tonight, coming off wins against Jared Vandera and Chase Sherman. Romanov, importantly, is undefeated at heavyweight. He is 16-0 as a pro. Mark, give us your assessment and ultimately your pick.
So this one's even wider than I thought it would be on the betting odds. Romanov is minus 400. Tybura is plus 300. I have always been high on Romanov. I'm glad we're here now where he's like, fighting a ranked fighter ready to break in. Tybura has shown us how good he can be, though. He can wrestle. He can clinch. He's strong in the clinch. He's a capable striker. He, as you said, he won 5 in a row prior to that Volkov loss, and one of those 5 was beating Sergey Spivak, who feels kind of relevant to Alexander Romanov. They're not terribly different fighters. So Tybura has shown that he can do it. With that said, I'm not going to pick him. As I said, I do like Romanov. I don't think he can deny Romanov's wrestling. I think that there's a chance he even gets so concerned with the wrestling that as the fight goes on, he starts to get caught on the feet as well. I think that Romanov just presents too many problems. I think he's very much the real deal. As you said, he's 16-0. I think we're going to 17, and I'll say he finds a finish. I'll say late round 2 TKO.
Like it. Okay, Omar.
Yeah, I also think that that Romanov is going to end up coming up on top here. I think it's going to be one of the more dominating performances, I think, of the night. I also I have a bit more of a aggressive take than Mark. Mark is going with the TKO, what we know Marcin Tybura might be susceptible to. I think Romanov is so goddamn good that he will give Tybura his first submission loss. And I think this will happen in the second round. Let's go.
I kind of like that pick, and I'm thinking Romanov by submission as well. He's the more seasoned submission artist with 9 of his 16 victories coming by way of sub. I'm going to say he's going to get Tybura out of there by sub. I'll say in the third round.
Dude, one of the big reasons, too, for Romanov specifically is the way his submissions come, they're not opportunistic. He makes them happen. He puts himself in positions to get those submissions. A lot of people get submissions because they're not given to them, but they present themselves. Romanov makes those opportunities happen. I think he's going to do it. I really do.
Okay, next up we have a fantastic high-level bantamweight bout. 135-pound version of Jose Aldo taking on Merab, Dvalishvili. Jose Aldo, the king of Rio, really needing no introduction. From Brazil, he's a legend at the featherweight division, and he took his talents down to 135 pounds in an attempt to rejuvenate his career. He's 5'7". He's my age. He's 35 years old. He's born about a month before me. 31-7 as a pro. This man still has not reached double-digit losses. Unbelievable. 17 wins by knockout. Only 1 win by submission, by the way. And rejuvenation he has achieved to this date with 3 consecutive victories coming into Saturday night against Marlon Chito Vera, Pedro Munoz, and Rob Font. Okay, that's Jose. Merab, from Georgia originally, now lives in New York. 31-year-old younger man, 14-4 as a pro. He's a decision machine, this guy. 10 of his 14 wins by decision, 3 knockouts, 1 sub. He's 5'6", and he's a Ray Longo guy out on Long Island, okay? He's coming off of wins against John Dodson, Cody Stamen, and Marlon Moraes. Okay, Omar, why don't you break this one down first? Give us your assessment, your ideas, and then your pick.
This is a real tough fight to pick, man. On one side, you've got Jose Aldo, who is an absolute legend and an absolute killer. As far as the things that the challenges that he presents, the power is going to be a real thing. Merab has never been finished before as far as strikes are concerned. However, if there's one guy that he's going to go through that's going to present that as a legitimate risk, it's going to be Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is definitely inclined to sleep somebody if given the opportunity. I think Merab relies heavily on his wrestling, his ability to take people down, control them, pushing the pace more than anything, but eventually getting them to the point where they're drowning. Jose Aldo has shown susceptibility to the cardio game towards the end of the fight. Usually when that happens, it's usually rounds 4 and rounds 5. There is no round 4, round 5 here. This is 3 rounds. Jose Aldo is probably one of the hardest men, not only to take down, but absolutely to keep down. The man's hips are like they have rockets on them. As soon as they touch the floor, whop, they go right back up. Like it's ridiculous to watch him stuff a takedown or stop himself from getting put all the way on the mat because he's relentless with it. And I think if he's able to stop Merab from controlling him on the ground, I think it presents a lot of issues for Merab going forward and throughout the majority of that fight. If Merab is able to take him down and control him, I think that's where the majority of the fight will take place. And I don't think he'll give Jose Aldo a chance to really do anything in that fight if he can prevent it. So the question, I guess, then is really what do I think is more likely to happen? As good as Merab is, and as much as I love watching Merab fight, I don't think I'm there yet to say that he's going to take take over Jose Aldo's game and nullify him and take him down and keep him down. Um, I do think Jose Aldo is going to win. I think Merab is going to try so hard taking him down that I think by the third round we might see Merab more gassed than we've ever seen him. Not to say he'll be dead, but I do think he'll be more on the tired side than we've ever seen him in a fight. And I think it will lead to a subsequent loss. I think Jose Aldo might get it done third round TKO for the first time.
Wow.
Merab has never been finished by strikes, but I think Jose will do it.
Mark, give it to us.
I fucking loved that breakdown because you know where I'm going in this fight. Surprising to me, Merab is the betting favorite. It's basically even, but he's minus 130 and Jose is plus 110. Didn't expect that. I thought it'd be close, but I thought Jose'd be favored. So yeah, I mean, Omar gave you a great summary there. We are going to see Jose's takedown defense, which is legendary, tested in a way like maybe we never have before. The only comparison in his career that I can think of is his fights at 145 against Frankie Edgar. And obviously his defensive wrestling held up in those. Granted, now he is older. Granted, Merab is maybe even more Energizer Bunny than Frankie Edgar was, if that's possible. Yep. So who knows? They are in big cage, which is the key. It gives Aldo a little more room to move, to keep space. His defensive movement has always been fantastic. He does so well to keep that space between as you move to him. He's always stepping away. It's hard to get in on his hips. It's hard to get in to grab a hold of him in a clinch. The big cage will help with that. He is big and strong for bantamweight as well, which has been helpful for him since he's been down at this weight class. And Merab is hittable. We've seen it before. We just saw it against Marlon Moraes, who, frankly, I do not rate as highly of a striker as I rate Jose Aldo. So I think Jose is going to find some clean shots here. I think this is a big step up for Merab. Like, he's got 7 wins in the UFC, yeah. But as you mentioned, he's there. You know, Casey Kenny, John Dotson, Cody Stamen, Marlon Moraes, who was at the end of his career. Like, they're not bums, of course, at all. They certainly ain't Jose Aldo. So it's a big step. I think Aldo can do it. I feel like a lot of people think this is going to be where Aldo's, kind of dream run to one more title shot ends. I think he can do it. I think there may be like a strong 3 minutes from Merab somewhere, 2-3 minutes. If he does get a takedown at some point, get some control. But I think outside of that, I think Aldo's winning the exchanges, and I think he's hurting them all fight long. Merab is hittable. We've seen it, and I think I'll say Aldo wins a decision. I really, really want to say Aldo by KO or TKO because I believe there's going to be a big shot or two in this fight for sure, and that it could be over. My concern is just how aggressively Aldo will jump on it, that maybe he won't necessarily, and Merab does recover really well. So I almost picked third round TKO, but I'm going to say a decision where Merab kind of makes it there despite being hurt.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a patented Jose Aldo timed knee on the takedown.
Thought about that too.
It'd be vintage Aldo for sure.
So Mark is taking Aldo by decision?
Yeah.
Omar said Aldo by finish.
Third round.
TKO in what, the fourth?
Third.
Mm-hmm.
I will go against you two gentlemen, and I am taking Merab Dvalishvili, who I'm a little surprised that he's the favorite, to be honest. That being
Same.
said, I think he's going to live up to his nickname, the Machine, and I think he's just going to do what he needs to do across 15 minutes. He's going to be on Jose Aldo like white on rice. He's going to be Jose's backpack for 15 minutes, and I think we're going to see Dvalishvili score another decision victory on the career. He's going to get to 15-4, and the biggest win of his career thus far over Jose Aldo.
Like it.
That being said, let's go
We have some
on
difference.
to second weekend in a row. The UFC is giving us kind of a weird co-main. I mean,
Oh, I
certainly
got no
has
problem with this co-main.
two guys that are both coming off consecutive losses
Yeah,
in the
fair.
co-main event of a pay-per-view is a little weird, but different from last weekend. These guys both are bringing in quite a bit of star power to the cage in the co-main. That being Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold going down at 185 pounds. So both of these guys bring a lot of power and a lot of skill into the octagon at middleweight. So you have Borrachinha Paulo Costa from Brazil, of course, the 31-year-old, the younger man. He's 13-2 as a pro. Of his 13 wins, 11 of them have come by way of knockout or TKO. He is, like I said, coming off back-to-back losses at the hands of Marvin Vettori back in October, and before that, a year before that, his somewhat embarrassing loss when he challenged for the title against Israel Adesanya. Luke Rockhold on the other side of the cage, 16-5 as a pro. Wow, I didn't realize his record was so small. Also excellent, but also a smaller record. I would think he would have like 5 to 10 more fights on his record. Much older man, 37 years old. He is also much taller at 6'3" tall. And he is also coming off back-to-back losses at the hands of Jan Blachowicz back in 2019 and about a year before that, over a year before that, a year and a half before that almost, he got knocked out by Yoel Romero. Okay, Mark. Take this first. Take us through your thought process for this fight between two middleweights who are both looking to get back into the win column. Paulo Costa, Luke Rockhold. Go.
I'll be honest, I don't have a huge thought process on this one. By the way, I do agree with you that Aldo and Rob would have made more sense as the co-main over these two, but I do like this fight. I'm intrigued by the Rockhold comeback. I'll give you the odds quick. It's Costa at -350 as the favorite. Luke is +275 as the dog. When I said I don't have many thoughts, I would love to give you more of a breakdown here, emphasize why I think Luke could do it. It's just hard to pick his chin to hold up against the fucking hammers that we know Paulo Costa is going to be throwing. It's the only thing I can think about when I try to break down this fight. I mean, Luke hasn't fought in 3 years. He hasn't cut to middleweight in 4.5 years, which is a long ass fucking time. That concerns me even more in regards to his chin. If he'd ever get this fight to the ground, who knows what he could pull off. Luke is, super skilled. Obviously, he's a former champion. But as much as Paulo Costa gets clowned, like, the wine against Izzy and the 20 pounds overweight against Vettori, like, the man stood in there and fucking banged with Marvin Vettori for 25 minutes in a fight that he nearly could have won. Like, I don't know how Luke Rockhold stands across from that same fighter and doesn't fall down. I think it's going to happen in the first or the second round. Paulo Costa KO. I guess I got to pick one. Late first round knockout.
Omar.
Yeah, it's hard to look. Luke's chin is suspect to say the least. Here's my thing though. Luke has been very public on Instagram and stuff like that with, videos and stuff that he throws up. The kid looks good, man. Looks good. He's training. All the preparation leading up to this, he looks really good. The other thing is he's training with Perillo now. And to train with the man who basically was responsible for training the man that knocked you out, that says something about Luke's character, about Perillo's character, but more about Luke's character and his ability to sort of be like, I need to know that. I need to know these tricks. I need to know what I obviously don't know. And I'd like to think that as arrogant as Luke is publicly about a lot of things, I would like to think that there is still a martial artist inside of him, a humble martial artist inside of him that knows that there are gaps in his game, whatever those gaps are, and that he still needs to fix them and work on them and continue to train and continue to evolve. I can't imagine he's taking the last 3 years to do dick all, right? He's talked about, some trials and tribulations he's had in his life over the last few years, relationship wise, having gone through the loss of a pregnancy. I think there was an abortion involved, but all these things that he's gone through, all the time that he spent trying to work through this, I think his mentality is also in the right mindset, is in the right space as well, because he had in one of the interviews, one of the many interviews he's been giving recently, he's been talking about he doesn't need this. And that's true. I don't think anybody on this earth will look Luke Rockhold in the face and say, you need to fight. That man at this point could GQ his ass with anybody he wants and get millions of dollars and never get his face touched again for the rest of his life in a bad way. Right? But he wants this. This is what he wants to do. This is his love. This is his passion. I don't know if it's the logical call. It probably isn't. But there is something that Luke Rockhold has really been able to do over these last few months specifically, but definitely over the last couple of years, to really make me believe that he's got something on this comeback. I want to believe it. I want to ride with him. I've never been a huge fan of Luke Rockhold's bullshit, but lately I don't know. He's growing on me, and I don't particularly like Paulo Costa as a human being. So I'm going to ride with Luke Rockhold with this one, right into the ground if possible, but I'm going to ride with Luke Rockhold. I'm going to say that he catches him with one of those crazy ass kicks at some point. I'm going to go with Luke Rockhold KO round 2. I think he puts this piece of steel out cold.
Wow. I want to say quick before Mike goes, I agree with every vibe and feeling that you just expressed about Luke. It's the same way I've been feeling since he's been on this whole comeback trail, giving these interviews and everything. He just got matched up with Paulo Costa, which fucked it up for me.
I feel you.
Mike, what do you got?
I used to be a big Rockhold fan, man. He kind of lost me somewhere along the way.
I think he lost.
I'm not going to say I jumped off the bandwagon when he lost to Bisping in their second fight, when he lost the belt to Bisping, because that would make me sound like a bandwagoner. But I more so lost touch with Rockhold. I lost touch with him. He was my boy. He stopped returning my texts. No. I fell out of fandom of his I don't know, because of his awkwardness on like interviews and microphones, and he tries to cut promos and he just falls flat. I feel like his looks and his like chiseled handsomeness are really dissonant with his like lack of speaking charisma. Because sometimes he tries to cut a promo, sometimes he's trying to just kind of be real. He kind of flips between the two. Sometimes he just seems confused to me as to what kind of card he's playing. All that to be said, I hope he wins this fight. I'm rooting for Luke Rockhold because I would love him to be relevant again at 185 pounds in the UFC. I do not think that's going to happen. I think that the deck is stacked against Rockhold in this fight for a few reasons. I mean, even without considering Paulo Costa, his opponent, there are just too many variables for me to pick Rockhold to begin with. The inactivity, the knockout losses, back-to-back knockout losses, over a year apart, and then extra time off. Now he's been away for 3 years?
Yep.
And to come back again against another guy who is an absolute bruiser in Costa. So Costa had his blip against Israel Adesanya, which now I would consider a blip. Up to that point, Costa looked like an absolute wrecking ball at 185 pounds. He comes back and he loses a close fight and a good scrap against Vettori. So Costa has one blip. Rockhold has much more than that. Okay, you consider his loss to Bisping in their second fight, in the championship fight, to be a blip, right? He got caught. He didn't take Bisping seriously because he already finished him in their first fight. He comes back, he TKOs David Branch, but then he comes back, he gets absolutely ran over by Yoel Romero. He comes back a year and a half later and gets, again, run over by Jan Blachowicz at 205. So Rockhold at this point for me, he's got to show me that he can hang again with a guy with serious power, and he's probably going to get touched by Costa. And at this point, I lack trust in his chin. So just like Mark, I had already written down before we started this show that I'm going to take Costa by knockout at the end of round 1.
I hope when Luke listens to our show, as he always does, that he will recognize I'm on TV.
Your faith.
Now.
I'm rooting for him.
Me too, bro.
And I was never. This is the first time in my life I've been a Luke fan. I don't think I've ever rooted for him in a fight in my life.
Wow.
I've rooted for him in the
I'm the
past,
opposite
but he's
of you guys.
There are real points of like major dickheadedness from him that for a while I just
That was always
couldn't.
my issue.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Every time I saw him, I was like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've come around.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, boys. Main event time. UFC 278 on the marquee of this pay-per-view. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, Usman, defending his UFC welterweight title against the man himself, Leon Rocky Edwards. Okay. Oh, I didn't have Edwards' shit pulled up real quick. Let me pull it up.
Unprofessional.
God damn it. All right, here we go. We have the challenger, Leon Edwards, from the UK, from England. He is 30 years old, the younger man. He is 19-3 as a pro with one no contest. Stands at 6 feet tall. He has never been finished either by knockout or submission. His 3 losses have only come as decisions and a no contest against Bilal Muhammad. No, I'm sorry. That's the no contest.
Yeah.
The 3 losses, what were they? Oh, a DQ. Way back in 2012. He had a loss by DQ. His other 2 losses came by decision. One of them was a split. So he's riding quite the lengthy unbeaten streak coming into Saturday night's title fight, which I believe is his first title challenge in the UFC.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, you're right.
Standing across from him is going to be the toughest challenge possible at 170 pounds on this day, that being Kamaru Usman. He is American, I believe, by nationality now, although I think he was born in Nigeria.
Correct.
Correct.
He was.
20-1 as a pro, guys. This man is serious. He only lost his second pro bout back in May of 2013. He has been undefeated since, winning the next 19 fights. He's undefeated in the UFC, of course. He's undefeated in title fights now. He's unbelievable, this guy. And he's only getting better and better. 9 knockouts, 1 sub on his record. So there you have it. Mark, I'll shoot it over to you first.
Ugh.
Give us your take. give us your pick of this awesome welterweight title showdown between Usman and Edwards.
I thought I was safe there. I won first on the last one. I thought I was going to get to hear Omar first because I am super, super fucking torn.
I'm not even going to give
on what I want to do
myself credit for, like, you know, keeping things fresh. It's just random sometimes. I'm like, fuck it. Who went first last time? I don't know.
So you basically pointed this out, but I will reiterate. Leon Edwards has 3 losses in his career. One is the DQ. The split is a fight he absolutely won, leaving 1 loss, and it is to Kamaru Usman. That is it. So the dude's resume is unbelievable. He is a big dog. He is plus 300. Usman is minus 400. I didn't think it'd be that wide. I feel like Edwards is not getting respect. I will happily sprinkle something on Leon Edwards at plus 300 because I think this is a close fucking fight. First off, this fight is enormous. It is huge, and no one seems to care. It's mind-blowing to me. I don't get how there's no buzz on this fight. It is actually the 2 longest UFC win streaks to ever meet in a title fight. Wow. I believe it's 15 for Usman and 10 for Leon. I think you could check those numbers, but whatever the numbers are, I know that's a fact. It is the 2 longest win streaks to ever go up against each other in a title fight. So that's a big fucking deal, and it feels like there should be more buzz on this fight. But Leon Edwards, and I'm not even a Leon Edwards guy, so you know this is real. He is criminally underrated in every area. Like, I think he might be the toughest matchup that Kamaru Usman has had thus far. Tougher than Colby. And the reason I say that is because I've made this point before. Everyone Usman fights, he has somewhere he can go. Like when he fought Jorge, he's able to go to his grappling. The second time, he's got Jorge thinking so much about the takedown that he's able to knock him out. But it's because he has that wrestling advantage that Jorge has to think about that. Against Colby, yes, him and Colby are a great matchup because the wrestling doesn't play. But Usman, as we know, is the more dangerous striker. So as much as maybe Colby will land more at times, the bigger shots generally are going to come from Usman. So he has that. I was really intrigued when he fought Burns because that was one of those times where I was like, man, I don't know quite what the advantage is here, but he got it done. And this one is like that for me because the first time they fought, he was able to out-wrestle Leon Edwards with ease. Leon Edwards at that time was like, I don't even remember, 23, I think, and he was raw as hell, and he didn't even know what wrestling was. And he can wrestle now. Like, he has developed some really solid takedown defense. And on top of that, Leon is a dangerous striker. He stays so composed. He's a slicker striker than Kamaru is. He's smoother. He's nasty in the clinch. And I'm sure we're going to see him there. I don't know. There are a lot of reasons that are making me want to say Leon can get this done. I think we're going to see Kamaru look to wrestle more than he has in his recent fights. The question is going to be how effective can he be with it? Is he just so damn good that he will still get Leon down despite all the improvements Leon has made with his own wrestling? But if he can't, I mean, look at what Colby did once he got comfortable in that fight. His jab was landing. He realized he could take the shots. He started swinging that fight late. I'm referring to the second fight. If Usman's not getting Leon down and Leon can start to feel comfortable standing, it's going to be a lot more dramatic than what Colby was able to do late. So then you have Usman coming off a broken hand also and kind of almost rushing back like it's sooner than the timeline was supposed to be coming off the broken hand. It makes me wonder what camp has been like. It makes me wonder how willing he's going to be to throw it, and it's his power hand, which has become big for him lately. I don't know. I wanted to hear Omar's analysis so bad to see if there was something that he said first. I mean, that he said in there that made me go, oh, fuck, that's a great point, before I had to make my pick. I haven't watched Countdown yet. I always love to watch Countdown when it's a fight this big, see what kind of vibe I get. Obviously, I'm only talking up Leon here because I don't need to talk up Kamaru. Everyone knows how fucking good Kamaru is. The guy is number 1 or 2 pound for pound fighter in the world right now. He's beating everybody in every which way. I do have a concern if Leon fades late, because Kamaru certainly won't, especially if it's going to be a grueling fight. I don't know. I don't know. Uh I don't think that someone's going to get finished. I think we're going to see the cards. Fuck it. Leon Edwards, 48-47.
Okay.
Oh boy. I would love to have some sort of analysis for you that would make you swing one way or the other, but the reality is I'm probably just as jacked as you are right now. The truth is, when it comes to Kamaru Usman, this new version of him where we're relying on his striking a lot more than we were before, to me is still new. For all the shit we gave Luke Rockhold and, about not having a fight in the last 3 years, and Paulo Costa's fought like once a year since like 2017. It's not like Paulo Costa's got like a ton of fights on his resume that Luke Rockhold doesn't. Kamaru Usman, however, Kamaru Usman is active. Kamaru Usman is active as shit. And so this new resurgence with his hands and now being something more than just a takedown threat and being held down, and you genuinely have to, worry about getting right-handed in the face. Gilbert Burns' case, getting jabbed in the face. It all, it's all going to translate with the power that Usman has. I think the real difference is that Leon Edwards is a legitimate striker. His wrestling, I think, it's so hard to say his wrestling is good enough to hold itself against Kamaru's, because Kamaru has a lifetime of wrestling. As good as Leon is, Leon has recently put the time into the wrestling, but it would be saying he's able to catch up to a lifetime in half that time, if that, fraction of it. And I don't know if that's really the case. It's very possible the skills that Leon has are able to, I wouldn't say nullify, but maybe reduce the amount of advantage that Usman might have in the grappling department, in the ground department. I think Usman's definitely going to be more apt to take it down to the ground than against the cage, because even against the cage, Edwards will throw elbows from a disadvantageous position against the cage. Leon Edwards will fight against the cage. On the ground, it becomes a lot more complicated, I would imagine. I feel like Edwards is way more well-rounded than Kamaru Usman is. However, I feel like where Kamaru Usman specializes might be enough to edge out those types of controlling moments. With all that being said, I'm still confused. And I don't really know who I want to pick here. I'm going with Leon Edwards. I'm gonna go with Leon Edwards by decision. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing this. I'm doing this because the man has talked up a decent game recently. He's got a legitimate resume of people in this division. Okay, this is not like a Khabib or an Islam resume or people who are kind of coming up in the rankings that like didn't have a ton of quality wins. The man has Vicente Luque on his resume, Brian Barberina. He's got Donald Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Rafael dos Anjos. These are real dudes that present real challenges that he has been able to fight, beat, walk right through. I'm gonna go with Edwards by decision. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it.
It's too
I cannot believe that I picked Leon Edwards and then someone else also picked Leon Edwards. What's Mike? Are you picking Leon Edwards?
I don't think he's picking Leon Edwards.
I am not.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's picking Leon Edwards.
I mean, I was almost persuaded by your arguments, both of you. Let me write this down. I'm recording the picks.
So crazy.
It is done. I already wrote mine down beginning of the night. I'm going to go with Usman by decision, but I think it's going to be another war that he has to weather. To me, guys, I think it could be a close fight. I hope it's a close fight. And to me, it's just I'm going to give Usman the... I never know how to say his fucking last name, by the way. I've heard both.
Yeah, I say both.
Usman, I'm going to give him the edge in terms of strength of schedule. You know, obviously, defending the belt, fighting and beating the guys at the very, very top of 170 pounds. Whereas a guy like Leon Edwards, he has names on his resume more recently like Gunnar Nelson, Donald Cerrone, Brian Barberena. Yeah, he beat Luke Hay back in 2017. But other than that, I'm going to give the edge to Usman in terms of strength of schedule. I'm going to say Usman by decision, but a war. And there you have it.
I just realized my most confident prediction on this fight is that it's 48-47. Somebody.
You said Edwards 48-47.
Yeah. But I'm saying if you
That's
want
what it will be.
my most confident take is that is the score. Somebody.
I will say I
I think it's gonna be close.
I haven't been this intrigued in an Usman matchup since Gilbert because I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's real arguments to be made for both. Even the Colby one, I was always pretty sure Kamaru was going to beat Colby in those fights. Granted, I don't like Colby, but that's not really the point. I'm still fairly confident that Kamaru was going to win those fights. The Gilbert one, I was less sure of just because of what Gilbert presents or should have presented. Didn't, but should have. And this could very well be the same thing. You know, Leon on paper presents a lot of issues for Kamaru. That doesn't necessarily mean...
really confident, too.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, though, on fight night that that's what's going to happen. But, man...
Except Nate Diaz almost knocked him out.
Well... But that he started, giving Nate the finger and clowning a little bit. He was winning so clearly. I think he got lazy. Clearly. He's not going to get like that against Kamaru.
I'm just kidding.